All right, everybody. Here we are at the end of the year in our beer and donuts. I have a apple fritter and half a chocolate. It's the only time we eat donuts is during this. Well, let's get into it. All right, so I'm going to go through it quickly. I'm going to go through kind of everything that's been happening over the course of the last 12 months, kind of the highlights. And then we will talk about recognition badges. We have some exciting ones. So in terms of outreach accomplishments, we started the year off pretty strong with 3 people being recognized at the CDF level. Steve Taylor was the Continuous Delivery Foundation's top contributor, and Syme Safter was the top ambassador. So that's huge. And our dear Sasha won the top Ortelius Contributor Award. So kudos to Sasha, Steve, and Syme. We also did 3 talks at Open Source Summit, CDCon, and OpenSSF. I actually was able to do a keynote at Open Source Summit, which we talked about Ortelius. We had an Ortelius Summit at CDCon, and we actually, and Steve did a presentation that covered Ortelius at OpenSSF. So this is happening again in Seattle this year, and we hope we get as many talks. Syme has continued to support Beaming Ortelius. He did 3 or 4 this year, 1 a quarter. Chris Anisich was invited to talk on KubeCon. Martina Iglesias spoke on Backstage. Mark Waite talked about Jenkins, and Steve and I did one on Ortelius. And then the Open Group was another event that was new to me. This was brought in by Tony Corrado. Thank you, Tony. And Tony and I presented there and got a lot of interesting feedback. So I thought it was a great event for us to be at. If you're interested, please consider submitting to, there's the call for papers is open for CDCon 2024, and it's open until January. I believe it is in Seattle this year, and it's probably around the same time, the end of May, early June. But go to CD Foundation, CDCon-2024, and you'll see the info and how to submit for talks. So architecture accomplishments, just a rundown. We announced our new architecture in March. In May, the Emporius projects joined us, and that was brought in by the folks at Red Hat. In July, we formed our first TOC board. Also in July, and not a lot of you know this, but Alex Flom was elected as chair of the CNCF App Delivery Artifacts Working Group. He has Emporus in mind and Ortelius in mind in that group. And then during the month of October, we participated in Hacktoberfest. I wouldn't say Hacktoberfest was that great this year, and I'm not sure why, but we got that feedback from the Jenkins community as well, so it wasn't just us. I did get my 4 pull requests though. Which when we reported it, everybody laughed, which I think it was really funny. So just in terms of our momentum, we have over 300 Google Group members. Our LinkedIn page is up to about 800 followers. We have about 120 GitHub forks, and we've reached over 275 stars. We're doing about 200 pull requests a year. That was the number for 2022. Steve didn't get the numbers pulled for 2023 last night. And altogether, we have about 30,000 person hours of contributed code in this project. So we've done a lot, and I'm super proud of the achievements that we've made here. We all should be, for that matter. How did that do that? Okay. Sorry, guys. All right. So we have new badge recipients. Anne-Marie Fred, Brian Fox, Vincent Dannon, and Andrew Block all received Silver Ambassador badges this year for their work on governing boards. Thank you so much to everybody who attends those governing board and the Technology Oversight Committee board meetings. we go through some heavy stuff sometime, and I appreciate everybody's feedback and keeping Ortelius going in the right direction. Kat Morgan also received Bronze Ambassador for her involvement, and Afzal Ansari, not many of you know him, but he's a blogger, and he wrote a blog on why it's important to be an open source contributor and submitted it to us, to Ortelius. So he got his, using, because of that blog, he got his bronze badge. And Arvind, are we not proud of Arvind? Everybody, we are so, so proud of Arvind. Arvind is the kind of person that just steps up and says, you need something, I'll get it done. And Arvind, what year in college are you at right now? You're,
I am in my seventh semester, so like I will graduate in next year,
and when did you start with us? Uh,
almost 2 years ago.
So Arvin, when he first came to us, most of us, he would get so excited we didn't know what he was talking about. But he has grown and become a great DevOps engineer through this process. He has worked with Utkarsh, he has worked with Sasha, he has worked with Steve. He has grown so much, and he's not only he's I think he's at a silver level for the champion level, but he did achieve gold ambassador status, and he did his first presentation, which we will get to see today. So Arvind, thank you so much, and we all are so proud of the work that you've done, and it's been so much fun watching you grow and change. Our new silver champions include Tony Corrado. And Tony, you've been awesome. You've helped this project in so many ways. Your work on the architecture, your direction on as an advisory board member to both the TOC and the board has been super valuable. So congratulations, it's a badge well earned. Alex Flom, not many of you probably know, but he is really the Emporus champion. And so he gets a silver badge for his work on Emporus, as well as the fact that he's running that CNCF project around artifacts. And we find, oops, God, this is really rotating weird. 8. Okay, we did that, page 9 here. And Utkarsh finally achieved gold champion status. Last year, I think he only had 1 or 2 pull requests that he was short. So he is now at the gold level for a gold champion. I think that he may be one of our, he's our second gold champion. Brad McCoy, I believe, was our first. And because Tony had reached silver in champion and ambassador, he is now a silver legend. So for those of you who don't know how the badging program works, we have ambassadors who do outreach, we have champions who do code committing, and then we have legends, which means that they're doing both. They're doing work in both ambassador work and in the architecture work. Tony has led the charge on both of those, so he is now at Silver Legend. And because Kat was both a bronze at Outreach and bronze at Champion, she gets a badge for a bronze legend badge, so she is on the board. And yes, we did it. After 3 years since this program started, we have now our first gold legend, and it is, of course, it's Utkarsh. I'm sorry he's not here, so we can all congratulate him, because it's been super exciting to watch people work through this process. It's not easy to accomplish all the goals required to get to a gold champion and a gold ambassador. But Utkarsh did it. And he did it by getting his final commits in, and his presentation today put him over the edge. So he's going to be talking about machine learning today while we're on the Twitch channel. So everybody, thank you, Utkarsh, for all the hard work. I know you're probably having some fun in London somewhere at about 9:40 at night. We hope that you're enjoying yourself, and we look forward to talking to you and congratulating you on the next time you're on one of our calls. And just to remind everybody who does the hard work behind the scenes, this is our governing board. Tony is our board advisor, and we have two people from the Emporis Project, which is Kat and Andrew, and then the team from the original Ortelius group. And yes, Syme is still out there leading the charge as our ambassador. Again, he continues to be the host of Beaming Ortelius, and he has kept that program up and running. And we thank him for all of his work and outreach to other groups. He is quite the evangelist, and he is always talking to other open source groups that he works with about Ortelius. And then, just so everybody knows who our governing boards, it's Vincent, Brian, Grima, Adam, and Steve. They have been hard at work having some interesting discussions about where the home of Ortelius should be and work on architecture. Okay, that does it for me. Next up is going to be Steve is going to work on Juice Shop, so we're going to have to switch spots so he can share a screen since we only have one machine actually we're able to share screens on. And once we do that, we're going to jump over to Twitch. Utkarsh is going to do a 10-minute lightning talk on machine learning. Garima Bajpai is going to talk about DevOps data and space exploration, which is an interesting topic. Deploy Hub now has Northrop Grumman as a customer, and they are using the technology that many of you have helped build to manage the space vehicles for the Mars project, which is really cool. And Arvin will do his first presentation on telemetry and microservices, and I'm looking forward to seeing his first presentation. We all remember Sasha's first presentation. We laugh now because he was so not animated, and he is always so animated. And now I can say that when Sasha does his presentation, he is genuinely his self, and it's so much fun to watch. And then I'll just do a closing thoughts to round it all out, and we will be done with our holiday party. So Steve, you want to switch spots with me and start Juice Shop?
Okay, hi everybody. Let me switch the sharing here. Okay. All right, so what we're going to do, get out of this browser window, is we're going to look at the OWASP Juice Shop. So this is a fictitious, basically, website that has the top 10 things that you shouldn't do in a web application. It is based on an Angular framework. So you'll be able to, you could actually pull it down from source, which is what we're going to run it as. You can do the Docker image as well. And then they have all the different challenges that we're going to look at. So we're actually going to go to, I believe it's, let me see if this is the, no, yeah. So this is some of the challenge categories that they have around like access control, authentication, injection. There is some stuff around supply chain as well. So we're going to go through just a couple of them. I would go ahead and recommend that you take a look at this, download it, and just give it a go. There is a way to kind of sort the challenges as well and get you into the nitty-gritty details. Also, they have some coding challenges, and we'll take a look at some of that as well. We're not going to be able to go through all these today, but we'll be able to at least get a couple of them so you get an idea how to get going. One of the things I'm going to do is we're going to look at the instructor scripts just to give us kind of a way to follow the challenges. So one of the things that we need to do is to do the install. So you have the hacking preparations and running Juice Shop. So we're actually going to run Juice Shop here pretty easily. We're going to run it from source. So I've actually already cloned the repo, and we're going to go actually and launch it. So if we go to my window here, so you can see I have the clone of the Juice Shop here. And one of the first things we're going to do is, I've just downloaded it, but I haven't done any configuration on it. So we're going to run an npm install. So this is going to go ahead and download all the packages that we need to actually get up and running. Let's see how when it thinks about it. Now, one of the things we'll see when the install is going through is this fictitious application is actually using a bunch of deprecated packages. So one of the things that we want to look at, and I usually typically look at this from a DevOps perspective, what do I need to do to actually get everything up and running clean? See if this actually downloads. Come on. Just thinking about it. So one of the things that once we get the packages installed, we'll see a bunch of stuff come across that's deprecated, and that's one of the typical things that the Dependabot or Renovate will kind of fix for you. It'll go through when you enable those at the GitHub level, being able to update dependencies and do those type of things. So if we actually look at the source code directory here, right now we have some workflow stuff, but if you look at the Dependabot, we just have the config and that's it. There's not really a Dependabot analysis happening at that level. So one of the things that we'll want to do here is actually go ahead and basically update our install to get rid of a lot of the dependency issues. Now, when we look at the challenges, while that's running, we'll go back to some of the challenges that we're going to be working on. So one of the first things that we're going to need to do is find the scoreboard. So the scoreboard's kind of like their way of tracking how well you're doing the challenges. And one of the things that they have is the scoreboard page is actually hidden. So one of the things that we'll need to do to get everything going is to find the scoreboard. Now, one of the things that they say is to look at, load it up in your browser and kind of look to see where things are happening with the URLs in the Java script console. But because we have the source code, we're actually going to go ahead and look for the scoreboard that way. So we'll actually, let me filter this. As it's chugging away here. There's what I'm looking for is something that is going to give us like a link to what the hidden page is. Let's try score dashboard. Here we go. So we can see here there's a possible path score dashboard. So let's go ahead and do some more searching on that. And we can see that there's a path here. And this is going to be one of the like the angular paths that we can kind of expose. So one of the things we can see here, we have like the register path. So these are all the endpoints that are showing up. And because we know that we're looking for scoreboard, once we get our app up and running, we'll be able to hit that URL and be able to kind of enable the scoreboard. Oh, okay. It doesn't like my version of Node. Kill that. It's acting up on me. I had this working yesterday, but I cleaned a bunch of stuff up. Okay. Let me just install this real quick. Oops. Sorry, folks. We want this one. I just went to a different window and I have to resource things, so we'll get there. And we'll tell it to use 20. And that's one of the things that you'll see is some of these, not everybody's keeping up with the latest version of like Node and stuff like that. And a lot of that has to do with package dependencies. So as the whole community kind of moves across and keeps everything up to date, that is one of the things that helps fix vulnerabilities. We'll give that a go again. See if it complains. Building our dependency tree, and we'll see what happens here. So while we're waiting for that, some of the other things you can do is when you look at the kind of the challenge hunting, it'll kind of give you a high level of what you're kind of looking for the challenge. If you get stumped, there is ways to go ahead and there's like basically a cheat sheet of how to go ahead and what you need to type in where. So this is one of the other ones, basically the injection piece, the SQL injection. When we run this, one of the things that we'll need to look at is some of the other tools around like the Chrome browser, looking at the JavaScript console, the network traffic, be able to look at the headers they're being passed back and forth. Other things that you'll need there when you get into some of these other like cross-site scripting challenges, you actually have to install another piece of software, which I didn't do, that allows you to go ahead and I think it's a browser plugin. So it'll capture, it's kind of like a man in the middle. So what it'll do is when you when you go to post something back to the server, you can actually go ahead and change the headers and kind of intercept the headers as part of that process. So you can actually manipulate the data that's being sent forward and backwards to and from the server at that level. Other things that are simple that are going to be more on the coding side is going to be, input validation. One of the ones that they have is an empty user registration. So you could actually register your user ID without an empty password. Other things that they have is more like the brute force, where you're actually going to have to like reset somebody's password by a brute force by guessing their credentials. The other way is to actually do some social research. So there'll be user IDs that are out there. So figuring out what the favorite pet is. So this is where you go out and basically do a Google search on Bjorn's favorite pet, be able to get that off of the web to be able to log in with their, basically reset their account. So it's that whole process of being able to not only use tools, but also information that's available out on the web. And we're still chugging along here. So one of the things that we want to take a look at is any vulnerabilities that we have locally. So I'm going to throw it out to the group. What tools are out there for us to look for vulnerabilities in our code base? So we'll take a poll. So if we needed to scan our code base for vulnerabilities, what tools would we take a look at? I'm going to throw it out there. Anybody?
Are you asking the audience?
Yes, this is an audience question.
This is audience participation now.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Awesome, Steve. So what do you want to know?
So what tools do we have that are available to us to kind of scan our source code for vulnerabilities? What, like bad
Ox
packages?
Yeah, you can use Ox Security, you can use Get Guardian. You could probably use SonarQube if you wanted.
Yep, SonarQube, Get Guardian.
Ox Security you could use for free. What else? There's a whole bunch. Let me go and have a look. You could probably use like maybe, if it was a container scanner, you could use on Docker, you could use Slim AI, which is built into your Docker. You could use that.
And that's one thing. That's one thing I've done recently is so there's, let's say we wanted to use like a Docker scanner, but we don't have a Docker container, so nobody's like published it as a Docker container. Some of the things that I've done is actually just created a Docker container with a copy copy all the source code into the Docker container. Don't worry about running it, but then that gives me a Docker container that I can use the image scanning tools against. So that's like a kind of an easy cheat, is to create a Docker container. A lot of times I'll use just the base, like Alpine. I like to use Alpine versus Ubuntu or Debian, because when you copy the source over, an Alpine base image doesn't have a lot of vulnerabilities that are going to be in the way. So when you do that, you can ignore all the OS level vulnerabilities and just look at the source code that you've copied over. And you can kind of see here some of the older versions popping up that these have vulnerabilities that they know. And this is one of the things, maintenance of the project has been discontinued. This is where we're using old versions of libraries and that we actually may need to switch over from one version to the next version as part of that. And that's some of the things that Dependabot can help you with or renovate, is to look at the package JSON files and do the update. Hopefully we're going to be done here with this build and we can actually run the application. Didn't realize that just the install was going to take forever. And it's funny, in the upper corner here, we're talking about renovate. We can actually see our GitHub renovate bots are cruising along through our repos, keeping stuff up to date. So let's go back to some of our challenges. So for stuff like the one of the things that we'll actually do with our scorecard, if we were to make a change, and we'll see when we get to the fix, we have these paths that have our scoreboard in there and stuff like that. One of the fixes that they have is to obscure the scoreboard by base64 encoding it. So even though like the fix that they have is going to be security through obscurity, they give that thumbs up for the scoreboard piece. One of the better ways, I think, instead of doing security through obscurity, is to actually put the scoreboard behind a login, so you don't actually have access to it unless you were able to log into the application. So there's different tricks. Some of them I don't 100% agree with on their results. So here we go. We have our application. We actually, let's see if we failed. Let's try, see if it'll start up. And we're actually getting errors. Why are we getting errors on our... It doesn't like something. Let's look at our Git status. Try the install again. Yeah, there's a bunch of errors with the loading of this. So while this is chugging along in the background, there actually is, if we go back up to running it, you could actually run this in like a training mode where you could have a bunch of folks being able to kind of do their piece at the same time. We're going to go back to the Jew shop and we're going to look at the, oops, wrong place. We're going to just take a quick look at, come on. There is an online version of this if you want to take a look at it. If I can find it. There's so much going on with the with what they have going on. You know, all the different hacks that are out there. Where'd it go? I don't remember. I played with the online version for a little bit. I just don't remember the link to it. And sorry, folks. Thought I had this sort of. All right. So let's go ahead and what we'll do is we'll do this as another training outside of the beer and donuts here, and we'll allow people to get going with it on their own. So one of the things I would recommend is to go ahead and download Juice Shop locally, and we can do a kind of like a coding camp where we can kind of walk through things locally, so you can actually have a version on your machine that you can play with, and we can walk through all the hacks at that level. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Tracy, and we're going to get moving on to the next part of our Beer and Donuts and the Visionary Summit. So let me go help her with that, and we'll get that. So that's going to be over on Twitch, and we'll go get that moving.
All right, guys, so we will end it here. Remember, if you want to play the word game, you have to log into Twitch. To view what we're doing, you don't have to log into Twitch. So you can go over to Twitch. Let me give you this.
If you could put the URL in the chat, that would be
I
appreciated.
will totally do that for you. All right. I don't know how to cut and paste on a Mac. I know, I'm just trying to give them the link to Twitch, and I thought I cut.
C and Command V.
That's what I thought, and that's what I did. Hey, Steve, can you put the Twitch link in the chat? All right, there is the link, and thank you all for showing up for Beer and Donuts. And again, big congratulations to those of you who've got badges, and a special congrats to Utkarsh for making it to our legend level. And you know, Sasha, you're close to that. You're just gonna have to, we're gonna have to get you doing some pull request reviews and some commits, and you'll be there. So I think that will be the goal for you in 2024, so we can have another gold legend on our list. All right,
So
everybody.
Where did the link get posted?
It should be in the chat.
I'm not seeing it. Maybe someone else is.
Yeah, it's here. It's yeah, it's here. It's in the it's in the chat. Yeah, I think Tracy just posted it. Yeah.
No, let me try exiting chat and going back.
Oh yeah.
If you go to twitch.tv and search on Ortelius, it's the only one that really comes up.
Okay, I'll just do that.
Okay, we'll see you
I
soon.
posted it now, just in case.
Thank you, Sasha.
I think it's because if you are chatting directly to someone and you don't change the to part, it'll only go directly to to that one person. I just realized it was like that on mine.
Yes. Shasha and Arvin got it. Thank you, guys.
Okay, cool. See you there. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.